Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Dynamic Cycle Institute, a journey towards circular economy webinar series powered by Taghleef Industries. I'm Maria Monique, Marketing Communications for Flexible Packaging Unit at Taghleef, and I will be your moderator for this afternoon's webinar. Before we begin, we would like to thank you for joining us once again last week during our Dynamic Cycle launch. And as mentioned, the DC Institute is a webinar series with TI partners and industry experts with the aim to share advanced know-how to various stakeholders within and beyond the packaging and plastics industry. For this afternoon's webinar, we are also joined in by Taghleef's Product Manager and Sustainability Advisor, Mrs. Monica Batistella, to introduce our speaker for this afternoon and take part in the Q&A portion after the presentation. Hi, Monica, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Maria, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm very excited for our presentation today, as we are joined by one of our partners and leaders whom we have been working with for quite some time now, CEFLEX. CEFLEX is a European consortium driving the circular economy for flexible packaging through full value chain collaboration. Recycling is key to realizing the circular economy for plastic packaging, but this needs to be done with a favorable environmental footprint and deliver valuable secondary materials. The CEFLEX collaboration of over 160 companies and associations in Europe is steadily working out how and when to recycle flexible packaging to ensure the resulting circular economy is a sustainable one for all parts of the value chain.
Thanks, Monica. This afternoon's presentation will surely be interesting, and I'm certain that our audience will be able to pick up a lot of useful and new information today from our speaker. But before that, we would like to remind you to please mark your calendars so you don't miss out on our upcoming webinars. As you can see, on the 12th November, at the same time today, 3 p.m. Central European Time, we will have Intersero with us. On the 26th November, we have Resi class. And finally, on the 10th December, we have HTP Cyclos. You can follow all of the latest updates for our upcoming webinars through our LinkedIn page, that's Taghleef Industries, and Twitter page, that's at TI_films. We will be answering your questions at the end of the presentation, so please feel free to type them in, and we will try to cover them during the Q&A session. You can also click on the below Q&A button, which you can find on your dashboard, to send in your questions. And now, to officially begin, I turn this over to Monica to introduce our speaker for this afternoon.
Sorry. All right, as mentioned for today's conference, we are joined in by one of CEFLEX members and consultant. She's the founder of Mosora Consulting, a company dedicated to driving the circular economy for plastic packaging. Prior to that, she has had a professional experience ranging from applied research in cosmetics to consumer marketing in Colgate, Palmolive, and Sara Lee in the US and Europe. With Dow Chemical between 2007 and 2016, she led the value chain engagement for the European division of Dow Packaging and Specialty Plastics, and eventually headed the European, Middle East, and Africa sustainability and advocacy initiatives for the business. Furthermore, as legacy project, in 2017, she created the Asase Foundation in Accra, Ghana, which aims to help female entrepreneurs from underprivileged communities to start social enterprises in recycling plastic packaging and deviate it from urban and marine littering. Let us welcome this afternoon CEFLEX Technical Workstreams Manager, Mrs. Dana Mosora.
Thank you very much, Monica. I think there is a reason for which your microphone was on mute when introducing me. And this is because I'm here to share a secret, which is the secret recipe of CEFLEX for driving the circular economy for flexible packaging through an innovative model of value chain collaboration. CEFLEX, it's committed to drive collection of all flexible packaging designed to be collected, sorted, and recycling after use and bring it to sustainable end market way returning to the economy and replacing virgin materials. As I said, there where CEFLEX is really innovating is in the fact that, and I would expect that the next slide it's coming, is the fact that it's really bringing into the consortium the representatives of the end of the life cycle of flexible packaging, meaning several world and European leaders in waste management, recycling, along with extended producer responsibility schemes and the likes. At CEFLEX, we are focusing really on the part of plastic packaging, which is represented by the flexible packaging, which is being household collected once disposed by the consumer. So you can see on these slides that out of the total of approximately 26 million tons of plastic packaging, flexible packaging is about 8.4 million tons, and the scope of CEFLEX, the household collected post-consumer flexible packaging, it's about 4 million tons. So it is relatively to the whole market of plastic packaging small, but it has a huge visibility in terms of the perception of the public of not being easy to recycle. And this represents the focus of CEFLEX. It took to us about 2 years with the entire consortium to align our thinking into what is a simple, clear, and easy to understand and follow roadmap to deliver the circular economy for flexible packaging. And today we are explaining it externally as being a 4-step roadmap, which is, number one, drive the collection of all flexible packaging such as it is not only collected, but also sorted and sent to recycling. Step number two, for the biggest part of flexible packaging, which you probably have noticed on my slide previously, that it's the flexible packaging made of polyethylene or polypropylene or a combination of these two polymers. Make sure that the collection is done in such a way that this type of flexible packaging can go for quality recycling and ends up in valuable end markets. Step number three, for the remaining 20% of flexible packaging, which is so-called made of multi-materials, they redesign this packaging as much as possible without a compromise on the performance requirements required by the application and make it monomaterial or compatible with recyclable monomaterial streams. Step number four, for that part of this 20% of flexible packaging, which cannot be redesigned without compromise on the performance requirement, we look into developing solutions to sort and recycle this type of packaging and send it to appropriate end-of-life solutions which would align to the circular economy. And step number five, last but certainly not least, it's important to ensure that the circular economy of flexible packaging is realized by having sufficient end markets where all these recycled material can be utilized, getting back into the economy in a valuable way. My presentation will reveal further on how we are really following through this roadmap by mostly getting three important directions in the work. Number one is by launching the design for a circular economy guidelines, we're making sure that this type of packaging can be designed differently by starting with the idea of recycling in a circular economy in mind from the brief of design of flexible packaging. Number two, we are looking into defining and designing the type of the infrastructure and systems which are to be put in place in such a way that it will enable more collection for better sorting and recycling with new end markets in mind. And number three, we're also very keen in making sure that we support all the different solutions and recommendations which CEFLEX brings to market for flexible packaging with solid and robust business cases for the investment, because we recognize that any change in the market is associated with investment, and an investment without a solid business case will not happen. So I'm going to basically cover 3 topics in my presentation from now on. Let me start first with designing flexible packaging for a circular economy. For many years by now, we know that flexible packaging has been growing by replacing rigid packaging with plastic or other materials, and this mostly because of exceptional benefits in protecting food, in easiness in use, with unbeatable sustainability advantages. However, from now on, we need to have flexible packaging which can also be collected, sorted, and recycled to keep the materials in the economy at the highest value possible. To meet these expectations, CEFLEX launched early this year on the market the design guideline for a circular economy for this type of household collective post-consumer flexible packaging. And these are really targeted, these design guidelines, to designers, converters, brand owners, those who put a flexible packaging in the market, by providing them with clarity on how to design flexible packaging for collection and sorting and recycling in a circular economy. We expect that once implemented broadly, this would lead to increased rates of recycling at a higher value, and will this will happen by giving more confidence to recyclers and those involved in the industry of end-of-life management with the business case for investment into the infrastructure. The guidelines, the way they are developed, take into consideration all the various elements which make a flexible packaging structure. I'm really talking about the multiple type of structures, from polymers, paper, aluminium, other barrier materials, adhesives and inks, additives, and also considering the form and the shape, because we know very well that when it goes to recycling, all these different elements matter. And this is how the design guidelines have been built. They also were built based on the realities of the collection, sorting, and recycling schemes and infrastructure available today in Europe, and also with a forward-looking. And therefore, we had first worked on the design guidelines which address the vast majority of flexible packaging, what I already mentioned, the approximately 80% of so-called either monomaterial or monopolyolefin type structures. And we say that given the current best practice technologies which are established in Europe, CEFLEX strongly recommends the use of flexible packaging made from recyclable monomaterials. We are closely monitoring any development in technology, recycling infrastructure, and materials that might affect this recommendation. All our stakeholders are encouraged to re-evaluate the functional requirements of packaging they put on the market, and when possible, and I underline, when possible, to redesign the existing packaging to make it recyclable monomaterial. Essential product protection, however, should never be compromised to meet recyclability requirements. Material choices in flexible packaging should always be made according to circular economy and environmental impact considerations. The use of non-recyclable materials, primarily for marketing or simply visual design purposes, is not in line with the CEFLEX principles and guidelines. For more and in-depth understanding and a view into the design guidelines, please access and download the CEFLEX guidelines on our website, ceflex.eu/guidelines. Last but not least, I want to emphasize again that when we put the various recommendations down in these design guidelines, we're thinking circular economy as an goal, and not just recyclability as an goal. This means that when we assess an option versus another one for a redesign, We are translating the design choices into recommendation after both cost and environmental impact are being balanced and considered. The second of the three topics which I promised to cover with this presentation, it's about enabling processes and technologies. What I have to say is that today, flexible packaging is collected and recycled to a certain extent in many countries throughout Europe. This slide reflects the model in Germany, which is one among the most advanced in recycling flexible packaging into various applications. So you can see that there is a pretty broad range of streams, and different streams have very clear end application and would contain flexible packaging. To realize our vision, in which the new EU recycling targets are met, and we know that they are quite ambitious, we put forward a new ambition, CEFLEX ambition, which is called a quality recycling process, able to deliver polymers for non-food applications like collection shrink, pouches, bags, and labels, therefore upcycling or doing closed loop at a certain extent recycling of flexible packaging. This is the name of the game where performance infrastructure and processes are able to boost recycling rates, create value, and keep resources in the economy at the highest value possible. The conceptual framework of the strategy for the quality recycling process in the workstream relevant in CEFLEX is about value creation by a so-called quality recycling process, which enables putting on the market new recycled polymers for value-added new end applications. This framework is enabled by design for polymer recycling, which then leads to design from recycling for new products. In order to elevate the quality of the recycled materials, CEFLEX envisioned this quality recycling process, which can start from the sorted bales which are commercially available today in what we call the new state-of-the-art of recycling. So taking the example of Germany, for a type of bales which represent the polyethylene, the quality recycling is a sequence of processes like NIR sorting by polymer and color, followed by hot washing to remove organic contamination and other contamination of print and other additives which would reduce the quality of the polymer, recycled polymer, and the extrusion with double filtration, which removes most of the remaining unwanted polymers and other contaminants, followed by a deodorization process. Depending on the type of this sorting material, the resulting materials, or so-called recyclates, would become fit for purpose in various new end applications, including film, which today are possible only from recycled polyethylene for post-industrial or post-commercial flexible packaging film. In this case, in which the infit material is the PE film bale, a recycled polyethylene film grade, unprinted and non-colored, has been proven of quality appropriate for use in making collection shrink for non-food packaging, or pouches, or small or medium bags. And the rest of the polymer is so-called drop grade, which is a recycled polymer appropriate for injection molding. If we are taking another commercial material available in Germany, and this is quite novel throughout Europe, called the polyolefin flexible packaging, so-called CEFLEX waste stream, through the quality recycling process. CEFLEX has demonstrated that recycled polypropylene film grade of the various colors, printed, non-printed, color, non-color, metallized, can be obtained, and it is of the right properties to be used in bio-oriented polypropylene film, which can further be used in either pouches or labels applications. So again, non-food film applications. And the drop is being assessed currently for use in injection molding applications. Based on the results of all this work, we have achieved in early this year an important milestone in the work of CEFLEX, which is to demonstrate the proof of concept that flexible packaging through advanced recycling with existing technologies can be recycled back into non-food flexible packaging in such applications like collection shrink in the case of polyethylene or bio-oriented polypropylene film. And our host of the webinar, Taghleef Industries, had demonstrated this through trials, this being further used for development of such applications like labels. Like in the other example I gave, with the design guidelines, the business case being run has an important role in demonstrating the value commercially of running such quality recycling processes in delivering valuable polymers. To continue on the second topic, which is enabling technologies, I want to very briefly bring you through a process which we have put together to continuously assess on the market new emerging technologies, which would have really difficulties into making it to mainstream on the market, but we, through assessing them and engaging with them as CEFLEX, we see that they have a real potential to impact the quality of recycling and make possible more recycling of flexible packaging for better quality. We're obviously screening the different technologies with a business case tool because otherwise it would not make sense to engage. And currently I can share with you that we have a pipeline of different technologies which are in the different stages of being assessed and would eventually be supported for market introduction. The last point I want to make is about the business case. I had mentioned throughout my presentation that what we do, it's really based on running the business case through a tool which is being developed by CEFLEX and which is helping to put together both the environmental and the financial justification and data relative to any given solution, such as we can provide a robust case for investment or justification for those who are interested in getting fact-based criteria to choose between different solutions in the end-of-life management, and also to support the decision-making for anyone in the value chain. All this is basically the summary of the secret recipe of the CEFLEX chef in baking the circular economy for flexible packaging. It's based on the 3 pillars: design for a circular economy, enabling processes, and delivering the business case for the extended producer responsibility as a key beneficiary. This is our mission circular, this is how we work, and this is how we invite everybody in the value chain to join our effort. Thank you very much, Taghleef, for offering me this possibility to talk about us.
Thank you to you, Dana, very much for the very informative presentation. Always fantastic to hear all the good work which has been carried out so far. And we look forward to the most promising work ahead.
Yes, thank you so much, Dana, for that presentation. I'm sure our live audience have picked up a lot of useful information today. And as mentioned earlier, after the presentation, we will be answering some of the questions that you have sent. For the first question that we have, countries in Europe still show quite important differences when it comes to collection systems and recycling infrastructures. What can be done, and in your opinion, how can CEFLEX support in order to reduce these discrepancies?
That's a very good question. And I would say that we should expect that differences between countries will continue to exist. And one of the reasons is because how Europe is being managed. And there is a lot which is being decided as a national level. However, in recycling and in circular economy, we realize that it is a huge benefit in creating the synergies which will make stronger business cases for investment to drive the changes necessary to really close the loop in a circular economy. So what we are doing is really coming up with things like a process like the quality recycling or the design guidelines, which will inadvertently drive to synergies, to commonalities, to higher volume of the same specifications, which will then be able to follow the same streams once they get into the sorting and recycling. So by really building the synergies bottom up and giving providing the basis for European standards, it's how we think we can contribute best to helping in this respect.
Thank you, Dana. We have another question here, one more for you. One of the greatest challenges is to create new and sustainable markets for the recycled plastics, despite the limitations related to its use back into food contact. In your opinion, what is the engagement of brand owners to use recycled plastics when there is no need of food contact compliance? And do you think that aesthetical difference will ever be considered as a positive distinction sign, same as in the case of recycled paper?
Yes, instead of giving you my opinion, I'm going to share with you my observation. And again, this is from the work we're doing in CEFLEX. There is a lot of say about the many pledges and commitments made by brand owners and the expectations that now they follow by implementing recycled material. The truth is that you need to develop the applications which can use the recycled material. So what we do in CEFLEX is we work in developing these applications, and what I'm sharing here is the fact that the involvement of the brand owners is very important. You know, Monica, very well that in some task forces in which we work together, we have brand owners really setting the expectations and helping enormously this project advance, because they are, from their driver seat in a way, they are guiding our development. Not all applications are food contact. Even for brand owners, there are a lot of applications which can work with non-food contact. And this is why we need to maximize the use of these mechanically recycled polymers in those non-food contact applications. Now, the question is, would aesthetics be a barrier? Yes, they can be a barrier. And here is where I'm also observing that the brand owners and the converters are bringing a lot of creative ideas to overcome aesthetics and turn them into features. Challenges exist, of course, but there are many ways to deal with the challenge, and all it takes is really to work hard to demonstrate how best you can turn from a negative feature to something which can be valorized, like in the case of recycled paper.
That's very interesting. Thank you so much, Dana, for that answer. Another question that we have here: because of the new redesign guidelines and upcoming plastic taxation, which are affecting all plastics, do you expect any significant change in the composition of flexible consumer household and non-household?
Absolutely. Design guidelines are going to work as a driver to the change. And also, I think that today we have to realize and recognize, it's the right way of saying, that everybody who is putting packaging on the market is working hard to address the barriers to a circular economy. Today, designing only to be differentiated from the market, it's not the brief anymore. The brief has changed, and this will result in a new composition of waste. It will take time, but it will come.
Thank you, Dana. So we have received quite a number of questions, and for sure we would be happy to answer them all, but due to time constraints, I see that we have run out of time, basically. We will be personally responding to your questions via email. So once again, Thank you, Dana, for this afternoon discussion, and we are truly honored to have you here with us on Dynamic Cycle today.
Honor is mine, Monica. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dana.
Indeed, it has been a very fruitful discussion, and thank you once again, Mrs. Dana Mosora of CEFLEX, for gracing us with your presence this afternoon, and of course, thank you, Monica, for joining us today. Now on to our next webinar, we have Mr. Julian Thielen, Project Manager from Intersero, that's happening on the 12th November, 3 p.m. Central European Time. His presentation will give focus on Made for Recycling methodology launched by Intersero in Germany, which is a project aimed at facilitating the correct recycling of packaging. Intersero provides and develops tailor-made integrated environmental services for customers in every industry. And they work with customers throughout Europe to design intelligent, full-service solutions and products that focus on improving company sustainability performance that will benefit the environment, economy, and society at large. Now, if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to us through our contact details that you see on your screen, and you may write to us at sustainability@ti-films.com, or for more information on Dynamic Cycle, you may visit dynamiccycle.ti-films.com. You may also follow us on our LinkedIn and Twitter pages for the latest webinar updates, schedules, and speakers, or you may easily search and filter through by using the hashtag Dynamic Cycle Institute. Thank you once again for joining us this afternoon, and we'll see you again next time.